welcome in. I was really hoping today my voice would be back to square one, but we're not. So it's getting better though. I can yell without getting a headache. So we're almost there. I love these types of videos. I love the end of the year videos because I love like data and stuff like that, and just looking back at everything and like seeing the overview of like what your favorite books were and all that stuff. So that's what today is. It's kind of like a 2-part video because I didn't feel like having 2 8-minute videos again. But we're gonna go through my top 24 books of 2024, ranked 24 to 1. Worst to best, and by worst I mean it's still my 24th favorite. And this was hard as fuck to do this year. Last year I feel like I did it pretty easily. I was doing this last night at 1 a.m. literally from like 12:30 to 1:30 in the morning. I could not figure out the order I wanted these fucking books to be in, and I take it almost too seriously. I was like, I can't switch up too if I feel differently. It was just so hard, and I feel like I read a lot of fantasies this year, so it's hard to like rank the fantasies. But I did it. I figured it out. I think I have a couple stand-ins. I have The Cruel Prince and A Dog's Purpose over here. Those are not supposed to be the books they are. They are just they're just stand-ins. So I remember there's one in their spot, but I read them on my Kindle. And then part 2 will be 25 books I want to read in 2025. So that one will be very, very quick and easy. Let me get my little list so I don't forget. Okay, we are starting off with coffee. I feel like I'm gonna look back at this list and be mad about the things I picked, but whatever. I'm upset. Seeing this now, I realize I didn't put Pucking Sweet anywhere in the top 24. That feels crazy to me, but whatever. Honorable mention, Pucking Sweet would be number 26. All right, starting off, or it would be number 25, I guess. Starting off, let me start. God. All right, number 25. Number 24, shockingly, How My Neighbor Stole Christmas. This book, obviously, Christmas book. I just read it. I don't know if it's because I just read it, but I cannot stop thinking about this book. It is so unique to other Christmas books that I've read. She actually took the time, clearly it's a big book, she took the time to like make me care about the characters. I was rooting for them. I cried for Cole at the end. There was a sob story, there was a friendship story, there was a sister story. There was so much. There was cute banter, there was hot candy cane sex. It was so good. Like I loved it, okay? So it takes a spot for number 24. Number 23, Daisy Jones and the Six. This one was tough because when I think about it, I look back and like, it's not something I would reread, I don't think. But I loved it and I cried a lot. But these books are hard because they don't have like a romance that I'm rooting for. They don't have like 2 specific characters that I really am obsessed with and love. It's more of like a heartbreaking story, but it's a cool story. And she had some really beautiful writing in this as well. So I feel like it deserved a spot. Number 23, doing Part of Your World. I feel silly. It's like when I look at these books, they feel like silly romances. I have a lot of them in here too. Almost all of Abby Emmons' books are in here. But when I think about them, I was obsessed with these books. They're so much deeper than I think, than like you would assume. I cried at the end of all of them. It just, they're so worth it. They're so worth the read. Part of Your World, I remember I literally never read this because I thought it was something to do with The Little Mermaid. It's not. It's just they live 2 different lives. So that's it. And then my first placeholder, not Hodor. Okay, the first placeholder is actually for The Fake Out. My heart just stopped because Stinky started scratching. It scared the shit out of me. Just kidding, it was Luna. All right, pretend this is The Fake Out. I read Behind the Net and didn't really like it that much, but I heard The Fake Out was better and it was like fake dating. So fucking good. That banter. Rory Miller is, I think that's his last name. He's so hot. The cockiness just really did it for me. There were a couple of sex scenes that were some of my favorite sex scenes. The fake dating arrogance. I was on my knees for Rory, okay? Literally and figuratively on my knees for this man. Oh my God. He was so good. But like now I think back and I honestly can't remember most of the plot. I just remember like some of the scenes that really stick out to me. So, like, I can't remember anything about their family, and I know that they had family backstories, but didn't stick with me. That's why it's lower on the list. Number 20, 7 Year Slip. I had originally rated this 5 stars. Beautiful story. I cried. I fell in love with them. I think I ended up putting it down to a 4.5 just because, like, over time, oh my, there's so much fucking cat hair on it because it's on this blanket. Over time, I feel like it's lost its magic, if that makes sense. Like, right away, obviously, it's a magical realism book, and it felt so magical. The love story felt so magical, and my heart broke in half for some of the stories in here. Now that it's been months and months since I've read it, it doesn't feel like something I would reread, which I feel like a 5-star read should be that. So like I would reread my favorite parts, I think, but I wouldn't reread the whole thing. So that's why it's at 20. But still, like, absolutely amazing. All right, now we're getting into more Abby Jimenez. 19, Life's Too Short. Another, it looks like it would be a silly little romance. It's not, and it follows a girl with, like, a disease. So the whole time you're thinking, you know, is she gonna die at the end? You don't know. Not gonna tell you. I boohoo cried at the end of this. Shocker, because I boohoo cried at all of her books. But I loved it. I loved it so much, and she was a YouTuber, so, like, period. But did not love it as much and did not cry as hard as number 18, The Friend Zone. This took such a turn. I was reading this at work thinking, you know, I know where it's going. It's fine. And you don't know this because you don't know my job potentially. I don't know. But I had an intro coming into my job, which is essentially just a stranger I've never met before. And I had to teach her about the gym. Go through a whole process with this woman who's never met me. And it's her first time coming into my place of work ever. I was reading this, lost track of time, and was crying when she came in. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize what time it was as I'm like wiping tears away, sitting at the front desk. It really wrote me in. I loved the love story. I saw myself in her. Obviously the twist at the end just really got me. So, and that's why I haven't read the next one, because of the twist at the end. I'm scared. Luna's down the litter box, scratching away. We can wait. We'll take a coffee break. Oh, she's going already. Okay, next. I'm gonna go until she does it. 17, Daisy Hates. I went into this not excited at all because all I hear is that Magnolia Parks is like the best fucking series ever and that everyone loves Magnolia. I didn't really love Magnolia like that. I think she's annoying as fuck. So going into this, where I feel like Daisy Hates isn't as popular, I was like, well, this is just gonna be as shitty. Not that it's shitty. Magnolia Parks is not shitty, but there's a reason it's not in this list, and Daisy Hates is. I almost gave this 5 stars. I was crying at the end. I was so invested. It made me like characters more than I did in Magnolia Parks. I saw different angles in their POVs. This takes place kind of during Magnolia Parks too, so like you see a whole nother angle of these problems that are happening. I was obsessed with it. I love the family aspect. I love her and her brother. Getting texts. I'm getting overwhelmed. Luna's scratching. I'm getting a text and Desi's barking. Better than Magnolia Parks, in my opinion. Then at, what is it? 16, I have Normal People. I think if there was not a show attached to this book, I wouldn't be as attached to it. Luna, please. There's nothing on the wall to scratch. You're not covering it by scratching the wall. Thank God. I think I'm so attached to these characters because of Paul Mescal and Daisy. Obviously, I love the book. I love the story. The show got it from this, so there's a reason I love the show so much. But I think that those two actors really just brought it to life for me, and the fact that I love them so much makes this higher rated. Like, when I first read it, I think it was a 4.25, and then after the show, I'm like, well, it's a 5 star. Like, I love it, and I want to reread it. So it deserves to be in the list, but I do think the show makes it what it is, if that makes sense. Like, without the show, it probably wouldn't be as high as it is. This is when I get into the Throne of Glass debacle, because I don't think every book in Throne of Glass needed to be in here, like Assassin's Blade and Throne of Glass itself. I don't think needed to be in here, but I also am not as obsessed with this series as everyone else seems to be for some reason. So I had a hard time deciphering where I wanted these books to come in. I have at 15, Crown of Midnight. I remember this. Neither of these are actually the books, so don't get your hopes up. This was when it took a turn. Obviously, if you've read Throne of Glass, it kind of goes more into the fantasy element as opposed to the fighting element, which is what I liked in Throne of Glass. But the end of this book hooked me. I was so into the end of this book. It's one of my favorite endings for some reason. Like, it's literally only the second book, but I feel like it deserved a spot. Okay, next is a placeholder. Oh, all right, this is supposed to be, I actually didn't really like this book. This is supposed to be The Right Move. Okay, see it, take it in. The Windy City series is definitely one of my favorite series I've ever read. The Right Move, I think, is the only other one that made the top 24, but I just love those two main characters so much. Watching him come out of his shell, like, he needed that bubbly personality to bring him out of his shell, and watching the, like, forced proximity make it happen, I was all for it. And he was sexy as hell. He was so sexy. Ugh. Another placeholder. I don't have it. It is Brother at 12. No, 13. Brother. Lucky number 13. This is now my new favorite horror thriller novel. I ate that book up. I read the whole thing and spoiled it in an old video, and it is literally my favorite thing to recommend to people. It is so captivating. It's literally felt like I was watching a movie reading it. Like, I could not put it down. I was anxious the whole time. I never knew what was gonna happen. I was so scared. Everything about it. Loved it. I mean, the very, very end, like the last page, pissed me off, but It's fine. It wasn't gonna ruin how I felt about the whole book. Actually, I think if it had a different ending, it would have been a 5-star read, which is hard for a horror novel for me. But so good. My go-to recommendation for anything scary. All right, at number 12, this is where a lot of the fantasies come in. We've got Powerless. I was just swooning this whole book. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Is it super unique? No. Did it work for me? Yes. I don't care. I don't care if it's reused material. That is not my problem to have, you know? It's her problem if she's reusing people's material. I ate it up. I haven't read the reused material, so this is the first for me. Sue me. I loved this book. Absolutely ate it up. Kai is so hot. I can't handle it. Next was, I only grabbed one, but the entire series of Heartstopper. This like changed the trajectory of my life, okay? All the Heartstopper books, this is the same as Normal People. Like, the show made it infinitely better. Not that these aren't already amazing, but the show just made me fall in love. Like, absolutely fall in love down bad for these characters. And I have never rooted for 2 teenage boys so hard in my entire life. Luna! She's scratching herself in the mirror. Why are you doing that? It's yourself. Are you trying to fight yourself? Anyways, they deserve 100% everything. And like, if I could put in the little novellas of Nick and Charlie in this one. No, stop it. If I could put the novellas in, I would. The entire universe of Heartstopper at number 11, I think. Yeah, 11. Top 10. This is where they get hard. Top 10, Tower of Dawn. I like this way more than I was expecting to, because the main character in this, I was pissed at going into it, and like, I just was not looking forward to it, and she turned me around. She made me love it. At times, I liked it more than Empire of Storms. I tandem read it. I really enjoyed the end. I enjoyed every single thing about it. Once we got like a third of the way in, was obsessed. Which is crazy, because I rated that one higher than the other ones I see over here. I feel like I'm getting persuaded by the world on which Throne of Glass books I should like more than others. And it's hard to make my own opinion. Okay, number 9. Our first like novella. She Gets It. Powerful. I think it's the books that I go into expecting nothing and they come out on top. Those are the ones that really get me. This book, I didn't even like Adina that much. And like, it's not that I didn't like her. I didn't have any connection towards her. Like, she was just... It was Adina, and I knew how her story ended. So I wasn't looking forward to this. I also didn't know it was like a romance. Her adding in this entire life of Adina outside of Powerless, it made me violently sob. I think knowing the end made me sob more than it would have, because I cried through the whole thing. Mac, I fucking loved Mac. Just like everything about this was perfection. I wanted a full 400-page book on Adina. I would have eaten it up. Lauren Roberts just has the ability to write like swoon-worthy words from men. They're amazing. I just fucking loved it. I ate it up. I would reread this 100 times over. At number 8. Okay, 8 and 7 are interchangeable. I cannot make up my mind at all. 8 and 7, Queen of Shadows and Heir of Fire. I think Queen of Shadows is at 8, and I think Heir of Fire is at 7. Because this one, when I look back, I cannot remember anything about it. I'm not kidding. I can't remember anything about it except the very end. I remember how it ends. And I remember it being kind of a letdown because I wanted it to be bigger and like more dramatic. But this one feels more nostalgic because it's when Rowan comes in and it's all of that. Actually, yeah, I'm sticking with it because I can't remember fuck else that happens in this. Honestly, I feel like Tower of Dawn should switch with this. I might do that. It's too late now, but just pretend Tower of Dawn and Queen of Shadows switched. Like, of course, yes, it's a good book, but I'm not kidding when I say I don't remember what happens. I would need to go back and look at all of my tabs to remember fucking anything. So that brings me to Heir of Fire. The end of this book is one of my favorites. I don't know why this book isn't everyone's favorite over like Queen of Shadows and stuff. Like, why is Queen of Shadows everyone's favorite? This book is so good, and it's nostalgic because she's like relearning how to train. I just love books that have to do with like training. I think it's really cool, and I loved learning Rowan and who he was, and you know, watching them and their dynamic change over time. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, this one, now that I've talked about it out loud, it makes sense this one's higher. Number 6 is Quicksilver. I cannot explain to you how obsessed I am with this man. He is so hot. The rate at which I read the last half of this book was astronomical. I cannot wait to reread it, honestly, now that I know the whole story, because I remember being a little confused in the beginning. Like, the whole metal stuff kind of confused me when I was reading it the first time, and I'm excited now that I like get it and know what it is to reread it fully knowing the story. So before the next one comes out, I will be rereading. I loved it. I loved everything about it. I loved the side characters. I think that's what also makes a book go up, is if I like the side characters just as much. Any of the books with like a found family, I love. Like, it's the same with Fourth Wing. I loved all of those side characters. That's like what elevated Fourth Wing for me. So I loved all of these side characters. Even the ones that I thought I wasn't going to like, loved. That's why I also like interconnected series, like romances, I think, because I develop a love for every single character in the book, and it just feels so cozy and warm and loving, and I never want to leave the universe. That's like how about ACOTAR too. Like, I just love everyone. I think that's why Throne of Glass isn't as high up for me, because I'm not as obsessed with every single character, if that makes sense. That being said, next, top 5. We're in the top 5. This is crazy. Top 5 books of the year. We have Empire of Storms. I do remember heavily everything that happens in this, and I think the ending was really interesting. Obviously, it's not how I wanted it to end, but like, there's a whole other book that we have to go through. But it also focused a lot on one of my favorite characters. So getting to see, or both of my favorite characters, so getting to see more of them in this, I think made it more likable for me. So it takes number 5. Number 4. This was shocking to me when I was stumped after my top 3 because I did not realize how much I liked this book, but I was like, I have to keep putting up. I think about this book all the time, literally all the time, and I want to reread it. The Mindfuck series. I don't know what it is about this series, but I love it. I love the dynamic. I love the like high stakes, her being a serial killer. It's just no notes. I loved everything about it. I think for the amount that I think about this book, it deserved to be higher, and it deserved to be over any Throne of Glass. That's kind of where I was at. We have our top 3. Don't look at them, okay? I'm moving them. Our top 3. Number 3 honestly could be number 1, and it should be number 1, but I moved it to number 3 because I read it at like the very beginning of January. Like, I finished it in the beginning of January. I think I started it last year, so it feels like a book that should be in the 2023 wrapped, because that whole series I read in 2023, so it feels weird being in 2024 alone. But like, it has to be in it, so it's A Court of Silver Flames. I loved it. You either love or you hate it, and I loved it. I love Nesta. I'm a Nesta bitch. I'm a Cassian bitch. I'm rooting for them. I hear all of the stupid fucking shit people say about them and the like theories going to the next books, and I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I am such a Nesta stan. I love this book. I cried so hard in this book. So like, it should be number 1. Absolutely fucking love this book, but it just should be in last year's wrap up, because I probably finished it like on the 3rd or something. So it was probably like this much in this year. But I was already done with everything by the time I finished, so. All right, number 2. This one also was a toss-up. They are also interchangeable with each other. I cannot decide what I like more, so maybe I'll figure it out as we're talking. But I have number 2, Just for the Summer, Abby Jimenez. I realized something. This year was a lot of growth for me with books, and I've realized my favorite tropes ever, like timeline romances where they met when they weren't really supposed to, like it was a chance meeting. One person is only going to be there for a certain amount of time. Like, I'm only here for 6 months, so we can't fall in love, that kind of thing. And then of course they do. But I only like it if it's very serious. Like, it can't be something stupid. Abby Jimenez does it perfectly, and she's the only one that like I really believe when she says that they have to leave. So those romances just break my heart. This one did it the most. Like, he could not follow her because he was watching his siblings. He could not leave the kids. It made sense to me in my head why it was so heartbreaking and the choices that they had to make. And I just love a heartbreaking book. Also, not to mention that he's so cute. He's so romantic. He's so funny. Just the banter, everything. I love a timeline romance. Like, we're on a timeline and we don't need to fall in love because I'm leaving in 2 weeks. And this one, it was just so good. Last but not least, my number 1 spot is Caught Up, the 3rd book in the Windy City series by Liz Tomford. I'm not kidding when I say I was having like deja vu and epiphany. I was like freaking out while reading this because I am this main character. She could not be more me if she tried. It's like Liz wrote this book for me. She was 25. She lives in a van. She has a septum and tattoos. She's kind of a mess. She drinks a lot. She's a baker, loves baseball, you know, she doesn't know she wants to have kids. It was like one after another, after another, after another. I was just like, damn, that's me. This was another like timeline romance, shocker, where she was only here for the summer. She was only helping her dad out while she took a break from her job. It had that aspect, and I understood she's worked her whole life to become this renowned pastry chef. I get why she wouldn't just give that up. Also, she doesn't know if she wants kids, and he is a single dad. He has a kid, which is very similar to this. She didn't know if she wanted kids, and she would be entering a family with a lot of kids and essentially becoming their mom. That would be such a hard decision if you fall in love and you need to make the biggest life change ever. Like becoming a mom out of nowhere with someone that's not even your kid. That would be so hard to like switch your brain around. If I fell in love right now, like she was 25. If I fell in love right now, I'm 26 with a man who has a kid that is 2. Please shut the fuck up. Like, you expect me to just rewire my brain and be like, yeah, I'll be a mom right now to someone else's kid right now. Like, of course it's possible and you can love them. You can become their mom if their mom's just like not in the picture at all. Obviously it's doable and people do it all the time. But for someone who does not want kids, that's so crazy behavior. And they do it in both of these. And the sobbing that I did in both of these books, that's why they're I can't tell. They're very interchangeable. It's like this story felt more heartbreaking. This story felt more personal. And like, I love the found family in this. I love all the other books. I love those characters with all my heart. So them being in this, obsessed. So it's like, I cannot decide. These are both number 1 in my heart. Deserted Island, give me both of these. Honestly, that is the 24 books that I want to read in no. I'm high off meds right now. No, I'm not actually. Those are my top 24 books. And I'm feeling good about it. I'm feeling good. The only thing I like don't feel that good about is the order. But those are the books. Like those are the 24. So we're going to take a small reprieve. And then I'm going to jump into the 25 books I want to read in 2025. Okay? I'll be back. Okay, my books are back on the shelves. I feel better now. That's the only shitty thing about doing these end of year videos is so many books come off my shelves. But I love to hold them. I like to hold about what I'm talking about. Okay, the 25 books I want to read in 2025. This is going to be like what I do when I do my mid-year check-in and when I do my end of year check-in, see if I've read them. Some at the end, I was struggling to like think, and I know new books are going to come out and like my taste is going to change as I go into the year. So like I'm gonna change, especially the last few. I'm sure I'm not gonna read. I don't know. I was struggling to pick some. So 25 is a lot to like pick books I really want to read. First, Phantasma, that is on my list. That like I really want to read that. I'm looking forward to reading that like pretty quickly. Number 2 is Kingdom of Ash. I will be finishing that soon. I haven't started it, but I will be finishing it soon because like I said in another video, I have to read that before I reread ACOTAR. I'm making myself do it, and I really want to reread ACOTAR. So number 3, there's gonna be some new releases on here too. So number 3 is Onyx Storm. Obviously, gonna read that right away. Number 4, I don't know what it's called or if it's announced yet, but the next Quicksilver book. I think that comes out in like July or something. Number 5, Fearless, obviously. Number 6, the new Windy City book, Rewind It Back. I don't know when any of these come out, but number 7, I also don't know. I know she's writing it, so I don't know if it's going to come out in 2025 or not, but the next Pucking Around book. Number 8, Abby Jimenez's new one, Say You'll Remember Me. Number 9, Ballad of Never After. I read the first one over a year ago, and I never picked up the second one, but it's the next book that I picked on my Generator series, so I have to read it eventually. So it's on here. Number 10, Zodiac Academy. That was from my last list. Some of these are going to be from my last list. The next one's coming up. 11, A Little Life. 12, House of Leaves. 13, Say You Swear. 14, Six of Crows. Interested in starting that, but like it's a fantasy series, so I don't know if I will soon. 15, any Stephen King. Just literally any of them. 16, Out on a Limb. I want to read that. 17, Leather and Lark. 18, Emily Henry's new book, Great Big Beautiful Life, is coming out. I don't know when, but I would like to read that. 19, I wrote Ashley Poston because I have a novel love story and I read like 50 pages and never picked it back up, but she has a new one coming out that's like sounds like love or something. I don't know. 20, The Book of Azrael. 21, Intermezzo or Conversations with Friends. Either one of those I'd be fine with. 22, Nothing Like the Movies. 23, Solitaire, like that series because I bought it. 24, Ghosted, and 25, Book Lovers. I've had Book Lovers for so long. A lot of those books are on there because I've had them for so long, so I need to read them. But that is the 25 books. We'll see how I do in the mid-year check-in, how many of them I've done. I really want to prioritize like that list and like actually get through them and prioritize my TBR too. So we'll see. But thanks so much for... Did I just hit the doorbell? BRB. The lighting's gonna be fucked up now because I opened the window to see if there's a car, but that's it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.